In our course, we've reached the final stage of the foundational training for your hand: coordination, muscle control, and fine motor skills. In the first 3 lessons, your task was to practice dots, straight lines, and circles. Today, we'll combine those drills into the alphabet. You'll practice writing printed block letters. In the next lessons, we'll move on to working with color. But for now, give your hand a little more time so it can truly learn to follow your intention. You can start this exercise with a pen. Write the basic alphabet. Why the alphabet? Because it's a complex set of shapes. It includes straight lines, circles, and wavy curves. We'll be writing uppercase block letters. These are precisely defined shapes, and you can't change them however you want. You can't claim that your artistic intention is a new letter form. Simply put, an O is a circle. The letter N is made of 3 straight lines. The letter B has 1 straight line and 2 curves joined in the middle. If your hand obeys you, you'll write it correctly. If it doesn't, you need more practice. One important thing: if you can't get a letter exactly right, practice it until you can. Feel free to write only that one problematic letter over and over. The worst thing that can happen is this: you practice a shape with a mistake, and that mistake becomes ingrained. Then it's harder to unlearn. So if a shape gives you trouble, don't simplify it. Drill it properly. Give yourself half an hour on that one shape again and again. Write carefully. What is supposed to be straight must be straight. Write slowly. You want a first-class result: straight lines, precise circles, beautiful curves. Start each letter exactly where it should begin. End each stroke exactly where it should end. Try to imitate perfectly written letter forms as closely as possible. You decide how precise you want to make this exercise, but don't be hard on yourself. If you write something inaccurately once in a while, that's fine. Make the next letter better. The goal right now is not a sheet of perfect letters. The goal is training your hand. Precision will come with time. You can start with lined paper with 1 centimeter spacing and later go bigger or smaller. Take a large lined notebook. On one page, write as many A's as will fit. On the next page, write the letter B. On the next page, the letter C. Continue all the way to the end of the alphabet. After that, you can write the alphabet in its normal order. If you enjoy the exercise, do a longer session. If you don't enjoy it, just learn to get a little closer to the correct result and repeat the exercise a few more times. This is not punishment and it's not torture. It's practice. Practice as diligently as your own standards require. When you write, use the lines. Make sure your letters keep the same height within each line. If you paint just for joy, your work doesn't require such a harsh drill. You don't need hundreds of hours of practice. A few minutes a day is enough. You practice and paint for pleasure, and you're not aiming for perfection. And really, nothing new under the sun. This applies elsewhere too. Do you want to play something simple on the piano or guitar? Maybe an hour or 2 of practicing a few chords is enough, and you can already play and sing along. It won't be a concert performance, but for joy, it's absolutely fine. But if you want to play the piano fairly well, a few hours won't be enough. A future pianist has to drill scales, hundreds of hours of finger exercises, and still no melody. Without that foundation, you can't play anything more demanding. That's why students in art departments at art schools usually get exercises like this. They don't have a choice. They simply have to go through it. And the result becomes visible after a few months. They can work with a pen or a brush with such precision that it's hard for a layperson to believe it's even possible. Exercises that are meant to have an effect need long-term drilling. Different letter sizes, different tools, dozens of hours of work. Then the results come and your hand becomes much more accurate. I'm left-handed myself. I paint with my left hand, but I've written with my right hand my entire life. So writing the alphabet with my left hand felt like going back to first grade. I struggled. With that hand, I was basically writing letters for the first time in my life. For a left-handed person, this exercise is also unpleasant because the paint doesn't have time to dry. We write the alphabet from left to right. A right-hander leaves the letters behind and they have time to dry. A left-hander has to watch out for that as well. Set the difficulty level for yourself. Try it for at least an hour, both with a pen and with a brush. Stick with it for at least a few days in a row, 20 minutes a day, or even an hour a day. For a painter who wants to paint for joy, that's certainly enough. If you want your hand to be truly precise, plan the exercise for longer than just a few days. For example, every day after dinner, give yourself half an hour to an hour of practice. Put on a podcast or talk with your loved ones while you do it. The watercolor brush. A watercolor brush will take you back toward the beginning because you have to retrain everything again. If your hand shakes, stabilize it. And if you're not accurate, try helping yourself with your face. You can purse your lips while writing or make strange faces. You can stick out the tip of your tongue or press your tongue against the roof of your mouth. You can also shape your lips as if you were pronouncing the letter. Sometimes it helps to clench your teeth slightly. Helping yourself with facial expressions while creating is allowed. Many artists do it. It helps a lead guitarist. Look at the face of a craftsperson drilling a tiny but very precise hole. I don't mean this as a joke. A grimace is often an outward sign of deep concentration. When the brain sends very precise signals to the hand, the electrical impulse can spill over into neighboring nerve pathways. Those pathways happen to control the face and tongue. So the grimace is a byproduct of maximum focus. Often you don't do it intentionally. Clenching the jaw or pursing the lips helps only a little, but it can stabilize the neck muscles. That indirectly affects core stability, and that creates a slightly firmer base for fine hand movements. So grimaces are not a problem. If they help you be more accurate, your brain is simply using every available resource to reach the goal. As you practice, your hand will let you start speeding up while keeping accuracy. If you're serious about watercolor, don't practice the alphabet with only one brush. Try a different tool each day. One day, use a round brush. Another day, write with a flat brush. Next time, write with a glass dip pen. Or make a simple improvised tool that leaves a mark when dipped into paint. Try to make the letters painted with a brush as precise as possible. And beyond the letter shape, try to apply the paint so the intensity is roughly the same everywhere. You don't want one part of the letter to be lighter and then a dark spot at the end where the remaining paint pooled. The more varied the obstacles you set for yourself, the better you'll learn to control what you constantly need in watercolor painting. Moving colored liquid onto paper and leaving the result you intended. You'll paint watercolor paintings with brushes of many shapes and sizes. Sometimes you'll use a pen or a dip pen. You need to control these tools with precision. So write the alphabet with every tool you plan to use. That's exactly what these exercises are for. I guarantee you this. Even if you watch this video 10 times in a row, it won't improve your painting at all. But if you do an hour of this exercise for the next 10 days, your hand will become noticeably more accurate. You'll feel it as confidence while painting and drawing, and you'll see it in your results. Thank you for watching this video, and good luck with your practice. Next time, have your brushes, watercolor paints, and plenty of paper ready. We'll start learning how to fill an area with watercolor. You'll need watercolor paper that's at least reasonably good, but also cheap enough that you can use up a few dozen sheets for practice. It doesn't have to be cotton or the most expensive paper, but it should be the kind that won't buckle and warp too much. Thank you for watching this course. If you enjoyed it, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. See you next time!